Hello and welcome to another How to Code Well web chat. My name is Peter Fisher. Today we're going to talk about music and what music I listen to when I program, when I am learning a new piece of programming, or I'm trying to solve a particular bug which has plagued me, or when I'm trying to get my head down and produce some code, some content, and tick off the things on my things to do list in order to achieve, a deadline, a goal, and so forth. I know that this topic has been covered quite frequently with programmers perhaps better than I am, more experienced programmers than myself, but I thought I would give my take on it because perhaps my opinions are slightly different, my experiences are slightly different. So really, to me, it boils down to a simple factor, which is what it is that you wish to achieve at the time that you're listening to the music. So, for example, if I'm learning, if I'm reading content on a blog article, or if I'm reading a book, or if I'm trying to solve a bug, a particular bug that is causing issues, then I tend to listen to either silence or classical music. Now, silence I feel is underrated. Silence is something that is quite strong and important in life, I find, because when you're completely on your own and you've got your own thoughts to yourself, and all it is a pad of paper and a pen or a keyboard and a text editor, then you can, the stuff that you can produce, the hours that you can actually just sit on your own and solve a problem with no distraction, zero music at all, is quite powerful. I also listen to classical music when I need to solve something or I need to learn something. And my taste in music has changed quite a bit, both in the different genres, as well as the different artists and so forth within those genres. So at the moment, I listen to a lot of Wagner, and I quite like his, the operas and so forth. But I'm sure that will evolve and change to some other classical artist down the road, another composer. The thing is, with classical music, I find that you can appreciate it at both a high volume as well as a low volume, and it's when I listen to it at a low volume that I find that I'm able to absorb information far easier, I think, than when it's really cranked up high. And also, in a sort of a hipster kind of hippie look on things, I find that classical music makes things just in general a little bit softer. Well, certain classical pieces can make things a little softer. When you're listening to, say, rap music or drum and bass, for instance, when you're listening to something quite harsh and quite pounding, it makes everything else feel slightly harsh and slightly rough-edged to it. And I find that when I'm learning something, I find that I need to have smooth edges, and I know that sounds really sort of wacky and wild, but it needs to be in order for me to pick something up, I need it to and the surrounding area to be soft and pliable, right? But enough of that left field stuff. I should say that there is no scientific study that I've done here. This is just based on my experience. Now, the polar opposite of that, of course, is when I know what I'm doing, and I just need to get on and do it, and I've got a a time frame in order to achieve it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say one day I go to a meeting and we flesh out some schema for a database, and so we do a bunch of whiteboarding, and off the back of that I come back with what's called an ERD, which is like an entity relationship diagram. So I know exactly what all the the fields are called. I know what the tables are called. I know how they relate to each other, the relationships and so forth. I've done all the hard work in the sense of knowing the way the data will be mapped. However, what I haven't done is actually written the code to achieve it. But when I come back to the office and I sit down at a keyboard and I start up, I'm going to use Symfony for an example, Symfony and Doctrine, and I create a bunch of entities, I create a bunch of mapping files, I create a bunch of controllers for, say, a CRUD type setup. There isn't a great deal. I mean, there is some, but there isn't a great deal of learning, not compared to something that is completely new, right? So I know how to do entities, I know how to make controllers, I know how to do mapping files and so forth. That is my, I suppose you could say, the bread and butter, right? Of what I do, or some of the bread and butter, I should say. Probably call it the butter. And so I'm not going to be too worried about the distractions that are being pounded in my ears, and therefore I would listen to something like drum and bass or dance music or rap music, and I find that the fast tempoed stuff is really quite good for that kind of type of working, because you're working really fast. You want to try and get something done and achieve it done. You want to write a bunch of unit tests. You want to you want to achieve this portion of the ERD, and you want to do that by lunch, let's say. So you give yourself a target, boom, 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 boom. And so I find music that has certain distractions, so rap music, quite good. It's polar opposite, of course, from the classical music when you're learning, because when you're learning, I find that I don't like vocals when I'm learning something. When I'm reading an article, I don't like to hear other people's voices, because my brain gets suddenly triggered to what they're saying. Now, I know that's a complete contradiction to some of the operas, but I should say that some of the operas that I've listened to, some of at least the foreign operas that I've listened to, where I have zero understanding of what they are saying in the opera, I treat that like it is just sound, and I'm appreciating the sound of their voices, not what it is that they're saying. And I know that is, I know that I should go out of my way to actually appreciate it more, find out what it is that the opera is talking about. It will give me a better appreciation of it. But at the moment, it is just, to me, sound that is background sound. Even though I do a lot of remote working, so even though I'm here in the office, I have my headphones. I have a decent set of headphones, and it's because the music that I listen to, or some of the music that I listen to, I want to appreciate it far better than these Poxy speakers that I have on the desk. And also, it's the feeling of being encapsulated in a little headphone bubble, if you will, where you kind of feel like you are one with the machine because you're plugged in, and it's sort of like, in order for you to leave the zone, you literally have to take the headphones off and get off of your chair. So the act of actually taking the headphones off is coming out of the zone, if you will. So yeah, even though I'm here on my own for part of the time, I do have my headphones on, and I find that very, very comforting, very rewarding. I like that sort of level of isolation, I suppose, when I'm really getting my head stuck into it, cramming down and get my head down with work. But look, this is all subjective. This is all personal preference. This is, and like I said, there isn't any scientific study at the back of this. This is just what I've been doing for the several years that I've been programming. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. And I'd be interested to hear what music that you listen to, whether you listen to rap music, whether you listen to drum and bass music or heavy metal music, whether you have a difference of opinion to what I've said. Maybe you listen to rap music when you're learning, and you don't find that a distraction. I'll be interested to know. Put your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's have a little discussion. But I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for watching. Do subscribe to pick up the web chats as well as the tutorials that I've been doing each week. Like the video if you've found it useful or helpful or funny or whatever. Do subscribe. Thanks again for watching. See you again next time. Cheers.